Now is as good of a time as ever for the San Francisco 49ers to go out there and get the guy they've always wanted. And the 49ers are about to give their best shot in 2025. In this video, I've got excellent news for you about the 49ers' longtime ambition being put to the 2025 test. Hit subscribe if you're looking for daily 49ers content. Appreciate you guys for subscribing. I'm almost about to hit 10,000. Going to do a giveaway at 10K, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on that. But this guy right here, Jaylen Conyers, tight end out of Texas Tech. The 49ers met with him, when did he say? At the East-West Shrine Bowl, okay? That's how it started. And we've got more updates on that end. Of course, Sterling Bennett with a very smart, obvious point of view here, saying the 49ers clearly want a receiving threat at tight end after signing Farrell as their blocking tight end. And it's pretty clear here. Now Farrell takes the slot of like Eric Saubert, right? Because Saubert's gone, so Farrell's that guy now, okay? But the 49ers are still desperately wanting a second tight end that can pass catch. They need that threat. They've wanted that threat. They've put a draft capital into it. They've put a lot of energy into trying to find that guy. And the 49ers now are showing clearly that they're very, very interested in trying to make that happen. They just now scheduled a top 30 visit with Jaylen Conyers, and that now becomes the second tight end and the only two players the 49ers have official top 30 visits. One they've already had, and then two now that they've scheduled. These are the only two top 30 visits that are out there publicly as I'm recording this video, so that's crazy just to think about it. Conyers at the Combine showed that he is a beast of an athlete. At the NFL Scouting Combine, Conyers posted a 4.7 40, a 35.5-inch vertical, and a 10'1" broad jump. I'm going to show you in a second how that compares to a certain individual we talked about recently on the channel, as recently as yesterday. And we're going to get into that. But first, here's what Conyers says about himself. This is how he's marketing himself, calling himself versatile. I can do whatever is asked of me. I can run a 5-yard route in the red zone and get open for my quarterback. If you want to throw me a jump ball, I'm more than capable of climbing the ladder. If you need me to win one-on-one against a safety or linebacker in the open field, I can do that as well. I think I can bring a lot of traits to the table. I give my quarterback a lot of options in the passing game as a safety net for him. So here he's even marketing himself as a pass-catching tight end. This is the skill set that he's selling because this is the thing he knows he can rely on. We're going to get to some data on that now, okay? I want to get to that. Actually, but first, I want to tell you about this weekend's sponsor, the ultimate penalty voting experience, Penalty Verdict. If you're anything like me and you obsess over penalties and just think about how the world would be different if certain calls, just critical moments in football games, had gone a different way, you can now do something about it. Join the waitlist to get into the app very soon. The Penalty Verdict allows you to vote in real time on penalty calls on both NFL and college football games. So Niners fans can say no on bogus calls. They can call out when the referees are favoring the Kansas City Chiefs week in and week out. I saw that all year on Twitter, so I know you feel that. With Penalty Verdict, you will get to engage with a community of football fans who desire fair play and accountability. You get to unlock the next dimension of sports by engaging with real-time polling of referees, players, and teams. Plus, Penalty Verdict is in the development phase and wants to hear feedback from you, so you can get in and tell them what features you want to see in the app for this upcoming 2025 NFL season, which I say is upcoming. It's still a little bit of the ways away, but vote on NFL and college football penalties in real time with Penalty Verdict by going to penaltyverdict.com/sportstalksanfrancisco. It'll bring you to a page just like this where you can put in your email, join the wait list, and they'll even give you a survey so you can give them feedback right away on what you think. That's penaltyverdict.com/sportstalksanfrancisco. Let's get into the comparison between Harold Fannin Jr., we talked about yesterday, who's already done the top 30 visit, and Jaylen Conyers, okay? So this is just a combine comparison to start, but I have other stuff, so don't go anywhere. This is a really interesting one to me. But if we just look at the combine, they're both 4.7 40s, okay? I'm not going to go down to the hundredths of a second. For me, it's 4.4, 4.6, 4.5, 4.7. Like, it's that simple to me, but that's just my gut, okay? I would also say the same thing. The 10-yard split is pretty tight there. I'm not going to really, split hairs on it, so to speak. But when you look at the vertical, you see an 1.5 inch difference in vertical. You see broad jumps a bit larger as well, a bit further, I should say, as well. He had the fastest time in the 3-cone drill among tight ends, if I remember correctly, and he ran a 4.27 20-yard shuttle. Now, the thing that everyone is saying about Jaylen Conyers is not exactly the same as what everyone's saying about Harold Fannin. What everyone's saying about Jaylen Conyers is athlete. This guy is pure athleticism. But the combine scores are only part of the story. You can't just go off of combine scores. There's other stuff out there for us for comparison's sake. So here, let's take a look at how these guys stack up in, let's see here. This is in NFL.com's kind of rankings based on combine, but overall scores, okay? And you have Harold Fannin Jr. way up there at a 6.21 overall draft grade. They include scouting reports and all sorts of stuff in those overall grades. Jaylen Conyers way down toward the bottom of this page. Obviously, there's a lot more tight ends out there, but seeing a significant gap there between these two talents in that sort of way, with Fannin, of course, way it toward the top. If you look at their PFF grades and get kind of a little bit of a different perspective on how they stack up according to Pro Football Focus, which again, I'm not trying to say that it's gospel, but you have a bunch of different organizations that are all trying to sift all this data through and make the most sense that they can. And if you look at Harold Fannin Jr. and his PFF grades, where he is first among tight ends 2 years in a row, and then compare that to Jaylen Conyers, who's 21st last year out of where was he? It was ASU, and did I even say where he was from? Did I? I'm sure I wrote it down. Surely I would have done that. Yes, out of Texas Tech. That's right. So last year out of Texas Tech, 21st out of tight ends, and then ASU the year before, 56th the year before that, 16th. So I don't want to go too crazy into PFF grades and even like doing the first out of how many tight ends situation, because if we look in terms of percentages, right, being 21st out of 438 versus first out of 438 is still pretty darn good. You're still at the top percentiles of that class, of that group. So I'm not going to be like that. I did also take a look to see kind of where, as a prospect, where PFF put these guys in terms of the draft big board. And Harold Fannin Jr. came in at 103. So he's like a top 100 kind of talent. Jaylen coming in at 200, or 199 or something like that, like really close to 200. So basically, you're looking at that kind of, hopefully that helps you see maybe, all right, this never works this way, but just maybe for the sake of your brain, you could say we got like a day 2 pick versus a day 3 pick. So if the 49ers don't pick up their day 2 tight end, maybe they're going for their day 3 tight end. I don't know. Okay. I don't know how this is all going to shake out. All of that stuff that I just said there is like, if you took everything to the nth degree, like these things are fluid. They're not nearly as static as that. But just to help you kind of get a picture for what people are saying and in terms of how these two guys compare. The big question, though, I think we have here is really, what does this mean? What does this mean for the 49ers? And in my mind, this means a couple things. Firstly, it means that the 49ers are absolutely desperate to fill that second pass-catching role. And they have tried for years unsuccessfully to find that guy who could work alongside George Kittle in 2 tight end sets when you want both guys to be passing threats. Because it's pretty clear when you're in a 2 tight end set, you're either going to run the ball or you're going to pass it, when you pass it, your highest likelihood tight end is going to be George Kittle. If you're taking one of your wide receivers off the field to put in a run blocking tight end like Fannin, blast. Now I already forgot his name, and I had him earlier. I have to go back and remember what his name is. The guy that we just signed. Sorry guys, I'm embarrassed. Farrell. There you go, Luke Farrell. Anyway, when you are bringing a wide receiver out, putting him in, it's pretty obvious that he's not going to be a pass-catching threat, although Farrell actually has had some decent catches in the NFL. It's not a commonplace thing that you're going to expect out of him. So, number one, the 49ers are desperate to finally fill that position, and the first two players getting top 30 visits are both tight ends, and nobody else has been publicly reported yet. That's interesting in itself. And it's been several days now, and I just showed you yesterday how many players teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers have gone. I haven't actually compared it to everybody. I don't think I have that website up. If I do, I'm going to look real fast for you because I genuinely can't believe it is like legitimately crazy to me how much time. Oh, here you go. Here you go. I'll find it right here. How many teams out there have grabbed a bunch of guys for top 30 visits? Cardinals have had 5. Falcons have had somewhere around 10-ish. Let's see here. Bills have only had 1. Panthers have had like 12, 15, something like that. Bears, 8 or so. Bengals, like 7. Browns, somewhere around 10-ish. Broncos, Cowboys, Packers, Texans. Let's see here. Chiefs. Oh my goodness, Raiders. Wow. They've had a lot of guys in there. I'm talking about teams that have had like 10 plus. Philadelphia Eagles, Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers, it must have had like 18. Like they have so many guys. That list has probably changed since the one I showed you yesterday. So the point being, there are teams out there that they're bringing in a lot of guys that they want to get in and get eyes on and have formal meetings with those top 30 visits. 49ers historically, of course, have gone for those top 30 players in the draft, or at least show significant interest in going for those players. So my guess is that the 49ers are ready to finally try and fill that role. The other thing I'll throw out there, the other potential what does this mean would be what this means for George Kittle. Now, I don't think they're, trying to put pressure on Kittle to take the current deal that's on the table or something. So they're bringing in a pass catching tight end. It's like, we're going to draft this guy. So, we could get rid of you if you wanted to. I don't think anything like that. Don't even go there. But what I do think is completely fair would be that Kittle probably only has a few more years left at the top level as a Niner. I hope they make him a Niner for life. I hope that extension happens this summer. And if it does happen this offseason, he's a Niner for life. That's great. By the time the end of this contract hits, whether it's 3 years or 4 years, he's going to be phasing out by that point. And you do need somebody else who can go out there and pass catch. I still really like Harold Fannin Jr. That's an exciting prospect to me because he's a day 2 guy that could be an immediate impact in terms of your passing game. And without Brandon Aiyuk, it gives you a lot of flexibility for the first couple months without BA. If Schefter is accurate and saying middle of the season. So I'm really excited about the 49ers taking this aspect really seriously because they're kind of starting to skate on thin ice if they keep believing that George Kittle is going to maintain a healthy season for several seasons to go. This guy has been the most incredible 49er tight end. He's my favorite tight end of all time. And that's saying a lot because I loved Vernon Davis as well. The thing about Kittle, though, that is only fair is the amount of beating that he's put on his body and the amount of yak he's put on his body and the hits that he's taken to get yak. If you've ever heard about yards after contact, stats and stuff like players like Christian McCaffrey is a good example. Like every time you break a tackle, you're getting hit by another guy, right? Like that's kind of part of the gig. So anyway, you can take 5 or 6 hits in one run, right? So all of that being said, I think Kittle, he's missed a couple games here and there several times now. And so it's starting to feel like similar to Trent Williams, like this kind of something you have to expect. And so we need to find somebody else who can go out there and catch the ball and can be that yak threat, which is where I think Harold Fannin Jr. could be. But let me know in the comments below what you think. Of course, as always, we are, 26 days away from the NFL draft. So I'm getting really, really psyched. We're getting closer and closer by the day. Appreciate you guys. Hope that you guys are having a fantastic weekend.